This is Frank Skinner. This is
Absolute Radio.
This is Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio with Emily Dean and Alan Cochrane. You can text the show on 81215. You can follow the show on Twitter and Instagram at Frank on the Radio, or email the show via frank@absoluteradio.co.uk.
Morning, boys.
Morning, Jim.
Morning.
Morning,
Can
Peter.
I say that was it was really beautifully enunciated, that, Frank.
Well, you know, I'm one of my problems now with entertainment is actors have given up on enunciation, so I'm trying to compensate.
Well, I sometimes hear some rival stations on my travels in the car, and even when they're reading out the phone number, they say "fwee" and so many of those things, they're just not clearly announced, and I thought you did a strong job there.
That's lovely. Speaking of the incomprehensible statement, I watched The Batman this week with Robert Pattinson.
Oh, my mate.
Now, when did they decide that Batman... Commissioner... There's nothing... You know, the mask doesn't even cover his face. The one part... the mouth is the one thing that's clear, the mouth and nose.
Is there a sort of an element of it that he's trying not to sound like Bruce Wayne? Is that what it is?
Maybe, but that never bothered him in the good old days.
No.
Do you know what I mean?
In the pants days,
I just wished that Commissioner say, "You okay, Batman?" It's okay. I tested this morning. It's not, but I think it's hay fever.
Does Robin speak? Robin doesn't speak
Robin's
like
not
that.
in it.
Oh, is he not?
Robin was
When did they kill off Robin?
No, well, Robin was a later addition in the comics. Batman was already Batmaning, and Dick Grayson was a member of the Flying Graysons circus troupe.
Yeah.
And his parents were killed. So Batman, being an orphan himself, took him under his wing, as it were.
But he
Nice
was...
to get Robin's origin story.
There you go.
Yeah.
And he became a word you never hear now. He became Batman's or Bruce Wayne's ward.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Can you still have it? If I wanted a ward, if I met some young gentleman who I thought he's a fine lad who needs some help in the world.
I think there'd be questions.
Yeah, there probably would now.
Yes, the concept
Would you
of
like
ward.
to be my ward?
Do you know I'd love a... I like that. I like the ward concept.
What about when he arrives and his dressing gown's hanging up, and I can say, "I put your wardrobe in the wardrobe." Oh, worth doing it for that. Then he can go back to the orphanage once I've got the gag in.
And trust me, he'll want to once he's heard that.
I'm an orphan myself. I'm allowed to do those gags.
Me too. It's fine.
Sure. Exactly.
Yes, is Annie a ward, Frank?
Annie? Oh, now that's a good question. Can you have a female ward?
This
Is he a
is what I want to
wardess?
know. Wardette.
Yeah. No, of course, Big Daddy Warbucks, one of the few...
Daddy Warbucks.
One of the few, and I celebrate this, sympathetic treatments of a millionaire in film. He takes her into his home. I always assume he adopts because he goes to the orphanage and speaks to the awful lady.
I didn't see any papers. There was no...
I thought there was papers.
Is this at the end of Annie?
Yeah.
All right.
Did he officially... I mean, did he
has
go...
a
What I'm
meeting.
asking, guys, is did he go through the appropriate procedures?
Well, he met with Hannigan. And
Well, it's hardly
discussed-
appropriate.
Well, she was the boss of the... I don't know. I don't know the legal status of Warbucks. And,
I'm worried about all these spoiler alerts for anyone that's taped Annie.
yeah.
Hey,
Big Daddy Ward
Yeah.
books, because he has loads of books with all his wards in. Anyway, the thing is with I love Batman. I grew up on Batman. But in the comics when I was reading it in the 60s and 70s, it wasn't dark all the time. You know, he had up days. He didn't just live in shadow and go, "Ugh." He had like a bit of fun now and again, stuff like that. But, oh man,
So,
I just wanted him to say, Commissioner, this is one of those days when you feel glad to be alive. Oh, yeah, it's nice to hear you, Batman. I don't hear you up that often. Yeah, I've been thinking about that.
Does he make any jokes?
Do you have a lozenge? He never makes any jokes. No,
he
he's
leaves that to the Joker. doesn't he?
miserable. Absolutely miserable. Yeah, well, even the Joker now doesn't do jokes. He's
Very
just
bleak.
maniacal.
Do you know he's
and
taken
dangerous.
a turn for the dark? The
The
Joker?
Riddler, who used to be like, it was a sort of a fun quiz master, Jeremy Beadle type of figure. Now he's some cynical murderer. Oh, come on, put the lights back on Batman.
Frank Skinner on
Absolute Radio.
975 has got in touch, Frank. I think this may be up your street. Speaking of wards, Robin was played by ... Burt Ward.
Oh, of course. Yes, of course. That's a very good point.
You usually remember all the actors' names, don't you?
Well, that was in the TV series, which wasn't dark. It was very light. In the original comics, Alfred the Butler
Oh, I love him.
had something else that's gone with the wards.
Go on.
He had a comb over. He had a very distinct comb over. You just don't see him anymore. And if you see them, they're always like a comedy context.
Yeah.
Was he always British?
Yes.
Oh, lovely.
Well, you couldn't hear his accent in the comics, but I think that's right.
No, but he had a sort of British sensibility in the comics, did he?
Yeah. But then they got like John Pertwee's son Sean playing him in and he was like a tough guy and stuff. But Alfred the Butler was a little comb over guy.
Oh no, he's got to be an elderly gent. He's Mr.
missing.
Grace from Grace Brothers.
Anyway, I was watching The Batman and I thought, how do they soften the Batman? Because I can't. If it gets any darker, it'll just be unwatchable. And I was thinking of poppies are probably the softest thing in the world. And I thought, what about if he went one ear up and one ear down? You know, that sort of slightly the lazy ear you get on poppies and think, I think that's the next step. Anyway, that was Batman.
I think he needs to accessorise. A brooch is always cheery. Maybe a brooch.
You don't want to be fighting with a brooch in case you scratch someone and they sue.
Yeah, but you've got to wear it up because the joy you cause the rest of the year, it's worth it.
Well, in The Batman, one could argue that he does wear a sort of brooch because, you know, the bat crest on his chest doubles as his batarang. So he just takes it off and throws it. So it is a brooch.
He's obsessed by function. Everything doubles. You can't just put a nice jumper on and say, I like this.
That's another thing. You never hear of the utility belt, big yellow belt with lots of like chemicals in it.
Hang on, aren't those pants, those yellow things? Is it utility pants?
No, he used to wear blue pants over grey tights and then a big yellow utility belt. You remember when you used to... Do you remember sometimes at nightclubs, you'd get attractive young women who were paid to sell shots and they'd wear bandoleros over a brassiere. And
Do I ever?
It was a version of that. The utility belt. Utility belt was obviously where he kept his white goods. small dishwasher in there, washing machine. Handy for Batman.
Yeah.
And of course, famously, he kept his shark repellent spray in there.
Oh, yeah.
Man, what those were the days. By the way, you may recall, here's a song you may recall my mother sang to me. You may recall, the other week I'd seen my tour manager at a gig.
Is this Omar?
Yes, yeah. Omar. And he came to one of my gigs, and we were talking about the London area High Barnet.
Yes.
And saying there was a joke, you know, that's where Margaret Thatcher comes from, because she had a very high Barnet. And he said, who's in the High Barnet chair now?
Omar's my kind of man.
Yeah.
Exactly the sort of question I
And Yeah, I've been thinking about it.
And?
Well, I think my current best bet is the Princess Royal.
Yeah.
Who Princess Anne, as she used to be known, who still goes for the enormous sweep. But they're not as common as they were.
It depends. I mean, obviously, Tina Turner was a little bit high barnet. She was also sticky out barnet.
Yeah, it's got to be that really going up from the defying gravity.
Are you talking about teased hair as opposed to sort of spiky?
Well, look, I'm not thinking Jedward. Prince was a bit of...
No.
Prince might have had lodgings in High Barnet.
Yes, at some stage. Can I tell you who else? Princess Margaret was a regular
Was
visitor.
she? Yeah. What a babe Princess Margaret was. Yeah. I'm loving the picture, by the way, of the Queen with 2 horses this week. One of the weirdest... Are you aware of a coven in the Windsor area? Sort of strange. The Crucible, Here Comes Goody Windsor. Or one of the oddest pictures I've ever seen of the royals.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
836.
Close your eyes. Give me your... Go on, carry on.
Alfred the Butler was also ex-SAS and could look after himself.
Even in the comics?
That's John Cambridge or John, Cambridge.
Okay.
Maybe it's John off Cambridge.
Oh, I hope so, Al.
Yeah, well, I don't remember that in the comics, but I'll take it on board.
Of course, that was back in the days when SAS people retired into butlering.
Yeah.
Whereas now they retire into Channel 4 SAS television shows, don't they?
Yeah.
That's what they do.
The trouble is there's not many millionaires who aren't married and stuff and need a butler, maybe, so I think.
And they don't have the wards, that they used to.
No,
they don't really have the wards these days.
You can't get the wards.
Well, there's just a lot more paperwork required to bring the ward in.
I'm glad they're careful about it. I mean, they didn't know that Batman was a that Bruce Wayne was a crime fighter.
Exactly. 123 has also been in touch. For Batman, the shark repellent was in the helicopter, not on his belt. Okay, we've all had a drink.
I've really been pulled apart
Batman
today.
the movie, 66. The big year, wasn't it? Batman. Yeah. The trunks are a 1930s reference to circus strongmen and were only worn by Batman because Superman wore them. And the utility belt, all right, mate, was added by Bill Finger so he could easily carry out detective work.
Bill Finger, of course, was Tom Thumb's cousin. He had 4 children, Tom Thumb. The Fingers.
Frank, I've got to hand it to you for that joke.
Hey, big thumbs up for that. Well, Faye, our assistant producer, is that her official title? Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah. She was just saying that she saw the Batman and had no idea that the Catwoman character was Catwoman because no one ever said Catwoman in it.
Oh.
And that... I think now, you're right, they didn't.
Hang on, doesn't she wear a cat suit?
Well, she wears... No, she doesn't wear the ears.
Oh, for heaven's sake.
She's got cats.
Holy mackerel.
Right. But, I grew up... I used to have guitar lessons, in fact, from a woman who had 13 cats. I doubt if she was a crime fighter by night. You can't assume. But it's a good point. Catwoman, of course, now... I don't want to talk about Batman all morning, but it's become a bit...
You are.
It's become a bit like there has to be a romance between Cat and Bat.
Cat and Bat. Oh.
You hate cross-species romances.
Well, I hate romances in any kind of entertainment.
I don't like the Cat and Bat getting together.
No, I don't. No. There was a great...
It's too much like Dr. Seuss has written it.
Yeah.
Well, in the 60s TV show, there's a bit where she says, Batman, I've always really admired you. I think it was Julie Newmar, because there was 3 of them.
Was she the
Lee Merriweather, Julie Newmar, and Eartha Kitt. Anyway, I think it was Julian Newmar who said, Batman, I've always really thought you were a really handsome guy. Maybe me and you could get back together and maybe we could be an item. And he says, well, what about Robin? He says, but you're a criminal. He says, no, I've changed. And she said, anyway, what about Robin? She said, we could kill him. It's a lovely moment. Julian Newmar. My goodness.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
Peter has asked a question. If Alfred was in the SAS, why didn't he advise Batman and Robin better on camouflage clothing within an urban environment?
Robin, certainly. I mean, I don't know where.
He wears yellow.
Red and yellow and green.
Oh, I've only just understood. Oh!
Red, gold and green. Red, gold and green.
Frank, that's an IEM for me. That's an idiotic eureka moment. I never understood the Robin...
The red tunic.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
No, he should have helped.
Hang on, is he a bird then?
He should have...
if Batman's a bat, is he a bird?
Batman hangs out with a robin.
Is he really a bird then?
He's not really a bird.
Cross-species friendship, which annoys Frank in the same way as the meerkat adverts.
I don't mind the friendships. It's
never
when it
gonna
gets
work.
physical I don't like.
Batman stays up all night. It's not going to work, the hours.
Yeah, Robin's looking for worms.
Always up early.
Very early.
Robin's up at the crack of dawn.
Yeah. Alfred's up gelling his comb over. I still don't know if he was in the SAS. I'm taking that as gospel. I never knew these sort of facts. I read comics. I still read comics now, I fess up. But I read them. I was obsessed with them when I was a kid. And then grown-ups start reading them. And then we started to know who did the inking on stuff. Oh, just the comics. Shut up about it. That's why it's gone on. Batman's gone all dark. So the grown-ups have started watching it. Mind your own business.
Yeah.
Anyway, how many types of chocolate can you name? I'll start with milk as the default.
So you're 5. What's I love that.
Come on, next one.
Dark.
Plain.
Dark or plain?
I went plain.
Is there a difference between dark and plain?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Plain is more pretentious, hence I went for it.
Okay.
Okay.
Dark is more bitter, hence I went for it.
I've got one, Frank. I can't... I got a bit excited, didn't I? Sorry.
Go on.
I don't really know how to pronounce it, so you might have to help me, boys.
Go on.
Montezuma. Is that a flavour or is that a type of chocolate?
Is that a
I
type
thought
of
that was a
chocolate?
place.
I thought
You're thinking of Montellimar, which used to crop up on the list. You know the strange identity parade lists you get in boxes of chocolates. Let's just find out what it is. I don't need a key to the chocolates. It's like when you used to get a photo of a bunch of people, and then you get a drawing underneath with numbers on their heads. Do you remember that? Just silhouettes. You know what? If I have a strawberry cream, it's not going to be the end of the world. I'll be all right with it.
Well,
People say, hold on, have you got the key to the... Have a chocolate.
No, it would be the end of the world. If I had to have ginger, that really would be the end of the world for me, Frank.
I think mainly those charts are to avoid coffee creams, aren't they?
But you know what I mean? It's not like stepping into a lift that isn't there and you drop down the shaft. You've had a coffee cream.
Definitely not the same as that.
Do you think I buy a box of chocolates so I can be reading? That's not where I go for my reading.
Yeah, you go to comic books, don't you?
Exactly.
Oh, wow. Sick man.
Grown-ups.
Frank Skinner.
Absolute Radio.
The other chocolate, the one we haven't mentioned, I didn't know exists. But I was... my son got me an Easter egg. It's without doubt the nicest Easter egg I've ever had in my long life. And it was blonde chocolate.
Oh.
Now, I'd never heard of...
Blondie?
Yeah. Who knew?
So it's not white chocolate?
No, it's not. It's not white. That'd be peroxide blonde. Of course, that'd be another type of chocolate.
Yeah.
White.
Yeah.
Which, ironically, is not called milk chocolate. That was They got that wrong, didn't they?
It's all confused.
Yeah.
And also cruelly overlooked by Alanis Morissette in that song, actually.
Yeah.
Was it? What did she say?
Well, I know. No, she didn't
She
reference.
focused on other stuff, didn't she?
She focused on the fly in the Chardonnay.
Yeah.
No one drinks that anymore.
No.
Rather than that irony, which would have been an infinitely superior one. Al, I'm in agreement.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Meanwhile,
I'll tell you what it is. My guide on it is it's what I would have called Caramac chocolate.
Yeah.
You know that stuff?
my favourite chocolate, my worst colour for shoes.
Oh, interesting.
Oh, just going to make a note. I have to throw out all my Caramac shoes now.
There's a particular kind of shoe
I
shade.
think I've got a Caramac shoe.
Trust me, you would not be on my friends list if you did. I've checked out all your items of footwear. You have never worn Caramac.
Okay, well, I'm gonna go with that. But the way I ate it, though, I haven't eaten an egg. I just ate. I went to the premiere with you of Harry Potter, the first Harry Potter film. So me and Emily went, and I sat next to a small child. I didn't know.
I had lost a lot of weight.
You know, this is on the other side of me. And he took out a crunchy bar, and he held it. It was like he had the palm of his hand. He pressed it into his mouth lengthwise. So you have to imagine this now, like a pencil about to go into a pencil sharpener. And you know those tree dissolvers that you see sometimes on the road when people are cutting trees down?
Yeah.
They put them into a machine, it just comes out as dust. So he got it on the palm of his hand, this thing, and he pressed it, and he sort of went, and it just, the whole bar just disappeared. And I thought, I don't know anyone now. I didn't know any kids then. I don't know anyone who eats. Everyone I knew ate chocolate saying, I'll have a bit. I shouldn't really. And oh God, oh no, I'm going to regret this. This was eating chocolate like with the chains off. Yeah. And me blonde egg. I destroyed it, man, and it was great, big mouthfuls of it. You know what I mean? Oh, it was great.
Oh, with greedy abandon.
Yeah, it was. I'd recommend it, I must say. And I'm not trying to get any free stuff that you don't have to send me. I'm just saying, it's blonde chocolate. It's the future.
This is Frank Skinner. This is
Absolute Radio.
So now, this is Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio with Emily Dean and Alan Cochrane. You can text the show on 81215. Follow the show on Twitter and Instagram at Frank on the Radio. Email the show via frank@absoluteradio.co.uk. Thanks, Batman. I'll mention it. Okay, just passing through.
Frank, Kev Shaw has got in touch.
Kev Shaw.
Sure.
His Twitter handle is Beagled again. He has responded to your question. I believe you asked our listeners how many types of chocolate are there.
Yes.
Kev has this story regarding chocolate. He's called it chocolate, which I like.
Oh, that's good. Has he done it without the E in that slightly cool, this is what very French.
The chocolat.
Very, very French.
You don't want to join the chocolat gang.
No,
on a camping holiday once, we saw a squirrel coming out of someone's tent with a full bar of chocolate and running off with it. Later, we heard a young girl getting the blame for stealing the bar. It was a bit strange trying to explain to the parents what we'd actually seen.
Yeah, it's good that they stepped in, though. I think I'd have left it. It's not my business.
Why, Frank? I would have stepped in.
Oh, man. Was it their daughter or just a ward? They have their ward with them whilst camping. That's what I'd like to know.
Yeah.
Yeah. By the way, many of you will think, what a life Frank Skinner leads of lovely showbiz finery. So this morning,
to West Bromwich.
This morning, before I left the house, I put my trousers on, realised that they'd been moth-eaten around the crotch. They're black trousers with white lining, so I had to sit with what I like to call, what we always used to call, a felt pen. I know it's called a marker now, because other pens obviously don't mark stuff.
The Sharpie.
So that distinguishes
You
that.
went for the Pat Sharpie.
I went for a felt pen. It wasn't a Sharpie. And I had to sit and colour in the holes on my trousers before I could leave the house.
While they were on?
Yeah, while they were on.
Why couldn't you just wear other trousers? I mean...
Oh, they were, oh God, I don't have that kind of time on a Saturday morning.
Can
I've
I
got a
say-
breakfast radio show. I was already buckled up into these.
The suit does look sensational on you. And I was really taken with that suit. I thought, honestly, Frank looks fabulous. Then you undermined yourself a bit. You undercut the suit experience by telling me about the felt pen. The felt pen, I wouldn't be ashamed of that, because that's every stylist.
Well, I've just mentioned it on national radio.
Every stylist has similar tricks to that, Frank. We've all done it.
Well, I think it's like Jimmy White when he used to spray his ball patch with that. Remember you see that advert where
I
he had
feel
like
such relief.
like a graffiti artist. He used to spray the sort of it was like party
He put the
string,
spray.
just to spray that onto his.
Whatever happened to
Oh God!
party string?
I'll tell you what happened to it. I went to an all-day conference in Birmingham about soap opera.
Did you?
And
I mean, you were talking about your glamorous life.
yeah, this was before I was a celebrity. And I had, that was in the days I only had one jacket. And I used to wear a brown suede jacket. And I sat on a chair that had party string on it, and I never got it off.
Also, greasy residue.
Oh, I hated that. It was like a squiggle on my back, like sort of like Prince's squiggle.
Frank, before we go to the break, a couple of other stylist tips for you, just FYI. Spray the seat of your tights, ladies, with hairspray. Stop some electricity static sticking to your dress.
Very good.
Good tip.
Also, masking tape on the heels of your shoes makes them last longer.
Well, that's... I didn't know we were doing life hacks.
Yeah, I'm afraid.
But there we are. Here's mine. Why are the Quakers called the Quakers?
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
Yeah, the Quakers are really the Society of Friends. The Quakers is a name imposed on them by outsiders because they used to speak in tongues and shake and tremble. And that's why they were called the Quakers.
Lovely.
Not really a life hack as such.
No.
No, but they work with the...
So much as showing off some knowledge.
It works with the chocolate theme this morning, because I believe they were involved with a certain...
Bourneville.
Was it Cadbury's
Were
or
they?
one of them?
Yeah,
Oh,
they
yeah.
were. Yeah, a lot of. That's where you get your sort of Protestant work ethic.
Yeah.
Also,
My father was a
the.
Quaker, can I say?
Oh, was he?
Lovely. Yeah.
The pottery guys, Wedgwood Quakers.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
All right.
And he had a bad leg and decided it was slowing him down in his business affairs, so had it amputated. Not bad enough to be amputated, but, time's money.
Do you know, he sounds like my kind of man. He's quite extreme.
I've in my hand, I have a letter. I was very excited. There's a parcel arrived today, and I thought this is the right shape and weight, but I don't want to build up my hopes. But it is the new Wisden has arrived.
Oh.
And if you like cricket, you'll know that is the cricket Bible. And so Bill from Wisden World, I love there's a Wisden World. Oh, man, there ought to be a big supermarket where you can get, like, Wisden outfits.
Do you have a shelf? My father used to have a shelf, and we couldn't touch that shelf. It was the almanac.
I do. I think most cricket fans have a Wisden shelf.
Oh,
and
I
also,
love it.
Bill has been very kind to me, sending me Wisdens.
What's the story there?
No, it's great. And
He
so
took
thanks.
you in as his ward, didn't he?
He did. He did, yeah.
I thought that was nice.
Wisden Ward, I'm known as. It says Wisden World, the UK's largest Wisden only seller. I mean, that's brilliant, isn't it? I love a specialist. There was some in America in the 40s or something. There was a serial killer guy who said in court, How do I know how many wives I've killed? I'm a murderer, not a mathematician.
Oh.
Good bands for a baddie.
When you were saying, I love a specialist, I wasn't expecting things to go quite in that direction.
No, it could have gone anyway.
Nevertheless.
But anyway, thanks for that, Bill. And Bill says to me, I'm sorry I didn't get you a 2021 Wisdom. I mean, can you believe apologising for that?
He's a lovely friend for you.
I'll send you one if you want one. Of course I want one, Bill.
Yeah.
Anyway, thanks so much for that. Also, who have I heard from but the pen guy?
The pen guy.
You know the pen guy? I don't mean the one that
Is that
fights
Wayne?
Batman. You do pronounce it
This
pen
is
guy.
a plural of Batman baddies. The pen guy.
It's not a baddie. Is it Wayne?
He's a baddie, the penguin.
Yeah. Well, in your
No,
world.
Nicholas Hemingway,
Nicholas
the pen
Hemingway.
who makes the fabulous,
Do you know why I
beautiful
thought
pens.
Wayne? Can you work out why
You know
I
what,
thought Wayne?
Because
Wayne Hemingway.
yeah, he was this fashion guy.
He used to own
wasn't
Red or Dead, yeah.
he? Yeah.
Meanwhile,
Yeah. So Nicholas Hemingway has written to me. He sent me another one. You should check out the Hemingway, what do you call them? Propelling pencils? Are they still called that?
Mechanical pencils?
Yes.
yeah, we love them.
Propelling
Who's your
pencils,
favourite
felt
Hemingway?
pen.
Ernest, Nicholas or Wayne?
I can't say that when I've just received a gift from Nicholas, but I don't know what his short stories are like. There's a short story called Indian Camp, which I read at school, which I still think about now. Haunting Hemingway short story. Anyway, so I need to, I'll tell you what, I'm getting the shove, so I'm going to come back
Okay.
to Nicholas Hemingway's pen. It's not just a free pen, it's got a magical twist on it.
Wow.
Frank Skinner on
Absolute Radio.
What was I talking about?
Well, can I-
Oh, yeah, it was my pen.
Nicholas Hemingway,
Mm.
the pen donator, has got in touch with us. Hello, Frank, Alan and Emily. Nicholas Hemingway here. I actually used to work for Wayne Hemingway many years ago.
Bit of a coincidence.
We met because of our surnames being the same. He gave me a job when I was at university. Lovely man.
What do you mean we met because of our...
Surnames being the same. He gave me a job when I was at university.
Was it when they were compiling the Doomsday book? You were called in for an interview.
Do you know what?
Was it just a big family gathering?
I
They
think
went,
if you
That'd be a good way of explaining a family gathering. Yeah, we got together because our surnames are the same.
Or sort of introducing you to a parent or something. This is Michael, our surnames are the same. I like that.
Yes.
Well, thanks for that, Nicholas. There's still quite a fair bit to unpack there, but I liked it.
Anyway, this is... I have a letter from Nicholas Hemingway here, and he had been listening to the show last week, and he was particularly taken by something I was saying about my belongings, and that is the fact that I own a Britney Spears pencil case. And I said, it's from Sweet Britney. I'd quite like one from the shaved Britney, but she didn't really bring out any merch. He has sent me a pencil in a leather case with the shaved Britney on it. I mean, it's absolutely magnificent.
Let's have a look, Frank.
That's great.
I mean, I'm going to put. I'll put it on the social medias. But first of all, it's a lovely pen, and it's that leather look, leather that my mum always had handbags made out of, which takes me back. But there she is, Brittany, looking great, I think, with the shaved.
Do you know, I made a terrible error this week, and I believe in fessing up to these things sometimes. I was talking to Jane Goldman and Jonathan Ross, our mutual friends, and I was saying, can you believe Frank has a Britney Spears, because they're asking about the show. I said, Frank said he had a Britney Spears pencil case still. I said, don't you love that? Can you believe that? And Jonathan said, well, I have a pencil case. And Jane said, well, I do as well.
See, I told you. You mocked me.
I know.
We did.
There you go.
Have they got themed pencil cases?
No, don't be so ridiculous.
Oh, okay. I've got also, and it's a bit split. I've had this since I was a small child, and I've kept it as a happy memory. I've got a Roy Rogers pencil case. Do you know Roy Rogers?
No, but
Thanks for the tip.
no, but dot,
The
dot,
cowboy,
dot.
the cowboy singer, film star who rode Trigger. So that's a lovely thing. It's got a lovely swirly lasso design around it.
Did he wear a nice? Does he wear a lot of white?
He was. He wore that real show, Nudies, who made all those Western gear. This is a famous shop. I thought you might know, being a fashion person.
I don't go to Nudies.
Nudies made all that really sequined cowboy outfits that they'd wear on the Grand Ole Opry and stuff. And so he'd wear like a powder blue cowboy shirt with a white fringe.
Is he friends with
Roy
Liberace?
I don't know if that happened then.
Okay. Okay.
Now, of course, the cowboys. It's a light motif, but then I don't think it was really referred to.
Okay.
But I love this. Thank you, Nicholas.
Chaps,
shaved Britney period pencil case.
Brilliant.
Truly, I am happy.
Frank Skinner.
Frank Skinner.
Absolute Radio.
I think.
Und, as they say on German radio.
Been eating that.
Und.
Been eating that blonde chocolate again. I think we should take a trip down into previously.
Previously, I thought I had it in my head. I had a jingle for that. I don't.
Okay, that's fine. Maybe you could make one up, Frank. I like that.
Here you go.
Go.
I don't know what it's got any relevance to this, but carry on.
Well, should we kick off out with one sound celebrity impressions?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Do you want
this
to
was
remind
triggered
us?
by Al Pacino.
Wow.
Yeah.
Sorry, stop it.
And then we did Jimmy Tarbuck, ho ho, and various others I can't remember.
Interestingly, you see, Eric Morecambe and
That was Harry Seacombe.
Oh, yeah.
the Eric Morecambe and the Jimmy Tarbuck. There's a bit of crossover there, would you say?
I don't know. I
Okay.
think Tarby made that his own. I also talked about Norman Vaughan's. I mean, it is incredible that people can build careers on these things. But anyway.
Okay, before we get to that, I'd just like to share a pencil case
Okay.
from Sally Ives. Hi, Frank. I am with you. Oh, I didn't realise you were
See?
some sort of cult leader. I carry a pencil case, and I have done for years. Mine is a red Mickey Mouse. One full of all the things you mentioned, and a few more, like a small stretchy man. Love the show.
What do you use that
I
for?
don't know.
Okay.
Okay.
Is that
Maybe
sort
just
of
for
Tudor,
companionship.
Tudor torture recreations?
Al, should we do some of these one sound celebrity impressions? We've got a few. I mean, Kate has said R2D2, although she said, I'm going to read
It's not
these.
really one sound, is
That's
it?
exactly what she said, not quite a celeb. Do you still want to do... you and Alan are going to do these while I read
Oh,
I
them.
don't think I
gosh.
have to do R2D2.
Well, you get
Surely
that-
It's just bleeps.
But then there's-
there you go.
It's
Okay.
it's a lot
does
of
them
that
all,
stuff.
doesn't it? He
Yeah,
does them all.
he's not a one sound
Okay,
man.
okay.
Yeah, I think you're doing him down a bit, R2D2. He has a rich palette of electronic sounds.
Sorry, Kate, it's good, but it's not right.
Do you think there'll be a cartoon of eventually when the Star Wars? Well, I remember years ago I interviewed Patrick Stewart and I asked him about what was happening with Star Trek, and he said, well, I spoke to an American TV exec who told me that Star Trek was experiencing franchise fatigue. And do you think if in the unlikely event that Star Wars ever has a similar experience, they'll have a cartoon and R2D2 will speak like the Scrappy Doo thing, and he'll just be going, oh, I really enjoy being a here, and he's going to be like that. I can't live with that.
What
Actually,
about...
that sounded like
Go on.
Clonk from Wacky Races, who had sort of had various tics.
I don't remember that
you do them all.
character.
Yeah.
What about... okay.
This is yours, Al.
Nikki Cyclopedia. Dara I can never say this. Dara O'Brien. Dara O'Brien.
He's got a sound, Al.
Al, can you do it?
Is it that?
Oh, is it that?
Yeah.
Oh, well, that was good. This has become a tough test.
Yeah.
I better have a rest, I think.
Frank Skinner. Frank Skinner.
Absolute Radio.
Absolute Radio.
We've gone to previously, but I also want to go to here and now.
Currently.
Lovely.
Oh,
Al.
good.
No, I like that. Because we've heard from a lovely friend of the show now. I'm going to go. Nicholas Hemingway.
Oh, is he explaining we met because we had the same surname? Okay.
This is Red or Dead designer Wayne Hemingway.
Yes.
You were asking how did you end up working for him? And Nicholas has replied, I met Wayne as I stumbled upon his website. We've all done it, dear. I wanted to become Hemingway Design, but that was the name of his company.
Oh, it's a domain battle.
On his website, he had a message that said, if your name is Hemingway, come and work with us.
What?
Very odd, I know. But I emailed him and we got talking. He invited me round to talk family history a bit and offered me work. Also related to Ernest. Links all round. They're both related to Ernest.
Are they?
That's quite
What
cool.
about Mariel?
What about her?
She was in the Manhattan.
There was Margot and Mariel, yes.
Was she in Manhattan?
She
is that
was,
right?
yes. Yes.
I know.
She was the granddaughter.
I know Woody Allen is not very in at the moment, but there is one of my fave ever film lines in that when they're in a cab, and he says to her, "You look so beautiful, I can hardly keep my eyes on the meter." It's such a tremendous line.
Yes.
I think she's related to Ernest as well, isn't she?
Granddaughter, yes.
Yeah.
Her and
Could I just say, I don't want this to cause a precedent, and if there are any Cochrans listening and they end up on my website, please don't get in touch. I won't employ you, and I'd rather you didn't.
No, it's
And
rather you
if there's
don't
any
contact
Deans
me.
listening, you're out of luck because it's not my real family name. It was changed. My real family name, as you know, Frank, I've told you this. Do you remember?
no
Bickerstaff.
Bickerstaff, of course.
There you go. Okay. Any
Which was
Bickerstaffs,
one of
come on in.
the pen names of Jonathan Swift.
Was
Is
it?
that right?
Yeah. Oh, all the facts coming out
you know
today.
loads of stuff. You
What else?
Al?
in the
Anything?
previously one sound celebrity impressions, Anthony Moss has boasted, I do a fantastic Tarzan, which I think used to be, oh.
Well, I think it was. Oh.
Hang on, what did you
I think
do?
it's,
a yodel, did I?
I think it's frighteningly similar to the sound of another celebrity who's from a
Oh,
darker
come
place.
on.
Really, it's ruined Tarzan.
No, okay. Come on.
Tarzan's had to change this.
Okay. All right. 9:50 a.m.
Okay, just saying.
581.
Just in case anyone tuned in, then I want to make it clear it was Tarzan I was doing.
Okay. 581. Hi, Frank. I think Emily is getting confused.
Oh. Should we leave it there?
Buckle up, everyone.
I think we should come back to this one.
I think that should be the name of the podcast.
Okay. What is Emily getting confused about? Find out soon.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
This is Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio with Emily Dean and Alan Cochrane. You can text the show on 81215, follow the show on Twitter and Instagram at Frank on the Radio. Email the show via frank@absoluteradio.co.uk. Doctor!
Peter Robertson
Oh, yeah.
has got in touch. From Peter Robertson in Findon Valley. It's a bit specific, that. Let's just say the Sussex
Findon
area.
Valley.
Good morning. Emily, if I was correct in hearing your birth name was Bickerstaff, when I say birth name, it wasn't my first name. I was born
No,
prior
but
to...
you were born a Bickerstaff.
Yeah. I was at school in the 1970s with a Simon Bickerstaff, who had ginger hair then, Frank will be familiar with the Catholic school Ampleforth College.
Yes.
To where Peter Robertson went.
That's where Stato went.
Really?
Fantasy football statistician.
At Mass there one Sunday, Simon was an altar boy and stood too close to a candle which set his cassock on fire. Hence why I remember him. It's unfortunate. Also, Peter Robertson once interviewed Margot Hemingway.
Wow.
Sister of Maria, at her apartment near Los Angeles. She went on to change her first name to Margot with a T. She didn't want to be associated with the bottle of wine.
You're going to tell me in a minute he's also pen pals with Alfred the butler. He seems to have a connection with everything that's happened on the show. What was he called? Something like Pennychuck. Alfred Pennychuck.
Oh, I'm going to get there.
There'll be some grown-up who corrects me on that, but I think that's his name.
He would have been lovely for me, Alfred. Because we could have lived on the grounds without any of the responsibilities. That's what I like.
Yeah, he had that shuffling dignity which you want in a butler.
Yeah. We were on a cliffhanger of sorts.
Yes, Emily's confused, and we got to.
I think Emily was beginning the text message. Hi, Frank. I think Emily is getting confused. And then we left our...
It's like one of my falls.
Yeah.
we left.
I'm worried it's the thing that your doctor says after you've left the surgery.
I'll lance the boil. I think Emily is getting confused with Buck Rogers when she asked if Roy Rogers wore a lot of white. A totally different vibe there.
No.
And that's from 581.
Excuse me, absolutely not.
Okay.
With the greatest respect, actually with slightly less respect, no, absolutely not. I know my Buck Rogers, okay, from my Roy. I know my Bucks from my Roys.
Yeah.
And I was referring, when I said white, I wasn't referring to the sort of 70s all-in-one with a large zip accessory.
No.
I was referring much more to the sort of showbiz tradition, a more Vegas style of cowboy. Will you support me on that, Frank Skinner?
Yes, I think I took it that Emily was referring to the fact that in early westerns, often the good guy would wear a white hat and the bad guy would wear a black hat to help the audience.
Exactly.
And Roy was very... I don't think I've ever seen Roy in a black hat. He was very much a white hat. Sometimes you're going to hate him for this. He wore a Caramac hat.
He did.
He did, but not made of Caramac, but Caramac coloured.
Oh, if I got... maybe I should get another dog and call it Roy. Roy and Ray. What do you think? I've got all the 70s football managers covered then. I like
or Siegfried.
We had a run, I can't remember this now, but we had a run of Albion managers at West Bromwich Albion, which were sort of Ronnie, Nobby, Bobby. It was like a someone will have that fax at their fingertip. It was a fabulous run of, if you wanted to just randomly, if you put 70s football managers into a computer, these are the names that would come spewing out. If anyone can send us that list, I'd like to share with the nation. There'll be Albion fans who know it off the top of their heads.
Oh, yeah.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
I'd like to move us towards a news story that caught my eye this week, and that is there's been some birthday celebrations for gorillaz.
When you say gorillas, do you mean like those George Foreman machines?
Is that how I say it?
You mean gorillas?
Yeah. Best Latin name ever for an animal? Do you remember its Latin name, Al?
No, what is it?
Gorilla. Oh man, I love it.
Make an effort, Latin.
I love it.
So good they named it twice.
Exactly. Gorilla. Your hair is a mess. Actually, their hair, that is unfair. Their hair, I find, is immaculate.
Yeah, it's tidy looking.
Never a hair out of place on a gorilla.
Do you know, I find the gorilla... Yeah, I'm doing it as well, Al. I find the gorilla has a sort of Alfred in the comic books, like comb-over.
Oh.
Do you notice that?
I think if you took the top of a gorilla's head and put it on the face of Simon Cowell, you wouldn't notice any difference at all.
It is quite shredded wheat, Frank.
It is a bit, yeah.
The black shredded wheat. Anyway, over to you, Al, because you were talking about...
Well, the world's oldest gorilla has turned 65 this week in a zoo in Berlin, which is called Berlin Zoo.
This is bad news for Berlin bus travellers. That's going to suddenly get on with its pass.
Oh, is this Fatu?
This is Fatu, yeah.
That'd be a lovely friend for you, Frank.
Fatu, well, it's a lady, of course, and it's my age range.
Is she? I'm just thinking Fatu might be an adventurous nana.
Yeah, exactly. In my catchment area.
It seems like you're at the opposite ends of the naming of things spectrum, Fatu and Skinner.
Yeah, that's true.
So nearly skinny and fatty.
It's the flip side of Hemingway employing Hemingways. Oh dear, in my end is my beginning.
I've always loved Fatu's narrative arc because she originally was brought over by a sailor. Did you know this?
Yes. I saw this.
From West Africa. She was brought by a sailor.
You know, I don't like the interspecies.
They weren't dating.
Well, we don't know that. Also, you know what I was saying a few weeks ago? That a classic example of the self-styled colourful character was the public rat owner. The person who takes their rat out in public.
Yes.
I mean, the sailor who arrives with a gorilla. He paid his bar tab with a gorilla. That is someone who is always got one eye on themselves. And this will be a great anecdote when I'm in the brig.
Yeah. I'm glad.
Apparently, he went out with a brigadier. If you knew that.
I mean, please. I'm glad Fatu's. I think it was right that she left that. I think it was a toxic relationship for her to be in, the sailor.
Yeah, it didn't sound good.
I think the Berlin Zoo is a much more... It's a much more fragrant environment for her. She got a lovely... Did she get a cake, Al, didn't she?
Yeah.
She got
a picture of her enjoying a cake, in fact.
What was the cake? The cake was...
It was a rice cake.
Yeah.
I mean, when you ask for cake, that's not what you want. That's like some sort of a sick joke.
I don't know if Fatu actually asked for cake.
Well, she was wolfing it down. I'll tell you, girlfriend's got an appetite on her. They said there was cottage cheese on it. I mean, that's depressing.
No, it's a bit late for the diet.
Cheesecake.
Is that why? Yeah. They said, look, you've called me Fatu. My birthday cake is cottage cheese. Enough now.
Frank Skinner.
Absolute Radio.
So we're talking about Fatu, the gorilla.
Of course, who isn't?
Well, Kolo isn't. Kolo was the oldest gorilla prior to that. Did you know that? I know quite a lot about the old gorillas. 2017, we lost her.
Oh.
Yeah.
And she, of course, as the initials suggest, Kolo only lives once.
Very good. Fatu is a great-grandmother of 16.
Oh. Good one.
Good one.
Can I tell you something about Fatu's home? She's at Berlin Zoo, am I right?
Yeah.
Now, I know people have mixed feelings about zoos nowadays. I'm a member at London Zoo. I think it's brilliant. And speaking as a parent, very, very educational about animals, very pro-environmental concerns and all that stuff. I went to Berlin Zoo during the German World Cup. I didn't know. It made me think maybe I'm going to stop going to zoos. It was a bit...
Was it cruel?
It had the sort
very
of
cruel?
sleaziness of the Weimar cabaret.
Did it?
There's sort of zookeepers dressed as Marlene Dietrich.
Yeah, gorillas was in stockings and suspenders, smoking. It just felt the animals didn't look that happy there to me. Lots of, that incessant pacing you get from animals when they're in there.
Charles and Dave.
So at the end of it, I wasn't happy, and I never get that at. I never get that at London Zoo.
On the plus side.
Favourite London Zoo story?
Oh.
Is it when kombucha drank all the Ribena?
No, mine
is a
is to
great
do
one.
with Frank and the incident with... Oh, no, that wasn't at London Zoo, was it? Do you remember, Frank? You had an incident with a gorilla. You've had one, haven't you?
Oh yeah, that was a chimpanzee, not a gorilla.
What happened?
That was at Monkey World.
What happened again?
Well, it was in the holding pen, which is when new monkeys arrive.
Mm-hmm.
They put them in a shed on their own because often they've been cruelly treated and stuff.
Yeah.
So I went to have a look in there. And they just have a window. They don't have. And this chimpanzee came to the window, and it looked into my eyes, and I looked into it, and honestly, we were there for 5 or 6 minutes just staring, and people I could hear people saying, look at that bloke, looking at that chimpanzee. We were transfixed, but it was like I was looking at my distant past.
Did you hear anyone
I'm
wants to get a room?
Yeah, it was a very, very bizarre incident.
Oh, lovely.
Well, I don't know if it was lovely. It was a bit like being stared out in a Birmingham pub. It was like, I didn't know whether there was any recognition, malice, or what it was. Lost, maybe.
Fashion.
Another opportunity missed.
God.
That was a great. One of my favourite Celebrity Squares moments was on the American Celebrity Squares, and they used to have this very camp guy centre square in the days when he wouldn't have been described as gay, but everyone sort of knew.
Flamboyant, it would have been called.
And there's a bit where the question was, do chimpanzees kiss? And he said, yes, very well.
I love that man.
Great.
Back to, we should say, I just want to say a bit more about her cake. It was a rice cake.
Yeah.
It also had cottage cheese on it and cabbage. I mean, I would cry. If that was your birthday cake, Frank, if I gave you that, you would defriend me.
I think that could happen from... My partner is so into healthy eating.
Kathy would actually like that.
Yeah, she wouldn't eat the cheese, too fattening. I'll just have the cabbage leaves if that's all right with you. Oh, yeah. And no one would say fatu. That would be the key. If you want to keep your teeth.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
We're still on gorillas.
I was wrong about the shark repellent spray.
Yes, you are. You're not often wrong, though. Can we
Thank you,
also
darling.
refer to another gorilla birthday this week?
It's great that it's 2 big gorilla birthdays in the same week.
2 big ones.
Yeah.
Pertinax, who sounds like some terrible Doctor Who creature.
Although I think they shorten it to Pert.
That's a cruel nickname for a middle-aged.
Yeah, Fatu and Pert. They've not
Yeah.
really knocked it out
Yeah.
of the park on the naming of these gorillas, have they?
No, he's 40, isn't he?
Yeah, he is 40 years old. He's
Silverback.
yeah.
Tell me about it.
Do you know? I saw while we're in that terrain. I saw a man, I won't name him, but he was presenting a TV programme early this morning. You can probably guess the sort of show it was I have on in the background. And it was interesting. He had an open neck shirt, the presenter, with quite a lot of hair coming out of the top of his chest. Not that you don't see that often these days, do you?
No, not unless you're halfway through a Jekyll to Hyde transformation scene.
So I'm saying, whatever happened to the...
Neck hair.
Yeah, the hairy chest.
Yeah.
The tantalising glimpse of
I
chest
think
hair.
it used to be seen as a sort of a sign of raw masculinity.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have it? Do you have
I
any
have
hair
it?
chest?
No.
Okay, you're witness.
I've barely got a hair on me. I'm like Action Man.
Not in all respects, I hope.
No,
If you know what I mean.
I don't have the cheek. I don't have the cheek scar either.
Poor cat.
No.
Pertinax. What do you think of him?
Bert.
Do you know? Just give you a bit of his origin story, boys. He came over here to Devon with he had a German male gorilla companion.
Okay.
It's rather nice. They came here together. Okay.
Nice.
Yeah, different times.
Yeah.
I was
Something
in
different.
I was in the Englischer Garten once in Munich, and I was with my girlfriend of the time, and we passed, I'd say 40 naked men sitting in there, just in the public gardens. And I don't know, I was more of a free spirit in those days, so I took all my clothes off and sat amongst them. And it took me about half an hour to realise that I was the only heterosexual there assembled. But it was very freeing in many ways. The whole week. The whole week I spent with them.
I look forward to hearing more about your liberating week.
The idea now of just seeing some naked men and thinking, I'll get naked and sit with them. What on earth was it?
You've become more of a germaphobe since then, haven't you?
Yeah.
Well, he arrived, Pertinax and his German companion, they came here and they sort of started this, it's a male gorilla community.
Okay.
The idea is that Pertinax he sort of socialises young gorillas until they're ready to breed.
Wards? Gorilla wards?
It's essentially wards.
At last, we found out what happened to the ward business. It's gone gorilla.
He teaches young male gorillas etiquette. Now, I don't know what that involves, staring psychotically at people and banging on the glass, perhaps.
Exactly. You have to do that chest punching thing, you know that? That's why they got no hairs on their chest. Well, there's...
Can I just say Pertinax had a giant pink cake?
Oh, God. I just thought the whole show was shot down in flames. You and your reminiscences.
Frank Skinner.
Absolute Radio.
Absolute Radio.
Here's a question.
Go on.
The senior keeper at Paynton Zoo looks after Pertinax, says, and I quote, in his retirement, he's really mellowed. What constitutes a gorilla's retirement, would you say? I wouldn't say they were industrious from what I've seen of them at the zoo.
Well, also, I did read, Frank, he suffers from bad feet and digestive issues, apparently.
Oh, God, imagine having a gorilla that's got digestive issues.
Well, the bad feet, they don't have great feet when they're young.
No.
Moaning about their bad feet.
Do they have feet?
Got bad feet. They moan, don't they? Like, oh, my feet.
They have feet?
I thought they just had like 4 hands. They look like hands. They don't look like any feet I've seen.
I say
Have you ever heard a gorilla mother say, all right, I've only got 1 pair of hands? No, that's because they've got 2.
Okay, let's see you say that to Pertinax's face.
Okay.
And Pertinax has to drink, because of the digestive problems he has to drink a special laxative cocktail.
Oh, God.
Oh, dear.
Okay?
Oh,
It's made up. Do you know what it's made up of, guys?
Is it cabbage and cottage cheese?
No. It's made up of honey, blackcurrant, apple, and gorilla matter.
Gorilla matter?
Let's call them...
Is that his website?
No.
About what's happening in the gorilla world?
No. Gorilla matter is what I call comfort breaks.
Oh, what?
Oh, dear.
This has gone too far.
Yeah. I thought the interesting thing about the keeper at the zoo was that she had to pick 40 different gifts for Pert's birthday.
Difficult. Hard to buy 4 gorillas, I would have thought. Unless everyone's a banana.
After a certain point, do you think they were like the Gorillaz CD?
Do you think when they...
Oh, yeah. He said he likes music.
When they get the... I like when they give... I'm sorry, I know it's boring, and I do the same thing every year, but I thought I'd play it safe.
Yeah.
That's what I'd do.
Yeah.
Do you think they're quite good to buy gifts for, though? Because every time they're opening a present, they go, ooh, ooh, ooh. like really excited.
They sound exciting.
What about some Jimmy White spray for the silver back? Just cover that up. Bit of Grecian 2000 for the back.
I'd get it a little bit of maybe a bikini wax.
Oh, where do you stop?
Gift 40.
That's what she said to me.
It says here in the...
That's the problem.
I think I'd go very well in the gorilla community. I think I've got an affinity with them.
I think they might be my least favourite apes.
Really?
Oh.
They don't seem to be like chimpanzees. And I know there's going to be a monkey-ape dispute here, but, as a general term... Chimpanzees are like fauna up to stuff. And that.
No.
Gorillas
Yeah.
look pensive.
That's why I like them. They're intelligent, they're thoughtful
Me too.
creatures. Whereas the chimpanzee...
They're fun, though, aren't they? Monkeys
They're
generally
hysterical.
chattering, bopping around, the big
And then
red
they
bomb.
turn on you.
Whereas gorillas, all in black. They're like the
Yeah.
goths of the...
Deep thinkers.
sitting
And then
around,
they
looking
could
a
rip
bit...
you apart. I think that's why I like them.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're grapplers, Al.
Yeah, I think so.
They're fabulous grapplers.
All right, they'd be my... they're just behind the orangutans on my list of favourite apes.
Okay.
Okay, so anyway, that's sorted.
On that bombshell.
Thank you for listening to us, even though we've talked about gorillas for nearly 7 hours.
I loved it.
Anyway, if the good Lord spares us and the creeks don't rise, we'll be back again this time next week. Now get out.
This is Frank Skinner. This is
Absolute Radio.